center. And in there are two extraordinary researchers, one of which is going to tell you about the work that we're going to do. Dr. Das, right here, I'm going to tell you about next. But she's an assistant professor at the Friedman School of Nutrition and Food Policy at Tufts, and she has a stellar background for studying our wonderful foods. She's an expert in telling people how many calories they need to eat in a day. When she gets that knowledge, she's an expert in developing diets that help them lose weight, particularly as body fat. And the third thing that she's really brilliant on and published a lot on is satiety. What makes people full? What sort of nutrients should be assembled? And I can't tell you how happy I am to have our Yevo Foods be under her tutelage. So thank you very much for joining our group.
Thank you, Stacey. And good afternoon, everyone. How are you today? I hear an incredible energy in this room, and I'm thinking, must be the food you're eating, right? So, as Stacey pointed out, I am on the faculty at Tufts Nutrition School as well as a scientist, and today I would like to discuss with you some things that you already know and the studies that we are doing with you. First of all, as you know very clearly, obesity is a very big problem. It's one of the major public health problems for our time, and we need to really think about what's happening and why the trends are so. I don't see the slides advancing. Okay, there you go. So this public health problem is a huge disease-related problem, and we are relying on public health measures, and that alone is not enough. What's happened as well is that we are not really seeing the low trends with regards to overweight and obesity. If you look at those three maps on the screen, you will see the map to the very left, which is in light blue, which shows that in all of the states in the United States, we had about 15% or 10% or less prevalence of obesity. And that blue color is now not only deepening, but it's almost disappeared. And the map that you see to the very right is basically red and orange, which means that the prevalence of obesity in all of the states in the United States is over 30%, 25-30%. So this is not just in the United States, but a global problem. And what I wanted to show you with these maps is that this is really serious. In addition, as you know, there are so many problems that are associated with obesity, which is the disease burden, the healthcare costs, and all of the costs and problems that we have with the energy level, the work productivity, and other physical problems with moving around. So again, here, my job is not to point out how important the obesity scene is, but mainly to emphasize with you, as you understand more better than anyone else, that the food is really the problem. Our food environment, what we are eating, and how many calories these foods are providing is a real issue. And that's been shown scientifically, and we have to really stop eating the way we are eating. This figure here is published by us, and it shows that on average we're eating way more than 1/3 of our calories at any given meal. We eat at restaurants, more than 30% of our meals come from restaurant foods, and these are foods that are really poor in nutritional quality. And not only are they poor in nutritional quality, but they're supplying, on average, way over 1,000 calories. We simply cannot eat like that. And that's why you're here, and we know that that's exactly what our focus is. And if you like to, think that our brain is tricking us into not wanting healthy foods, I know we're sorry, and we can't believe that, right? We have shown from our own studies that you can actually train the brain to prefer healthy foods and actually not prefer the less healthy foods. And that's something that our own studies as well as others have shown. And that is something that we really need to it's very important, and we need to remember when we say, oh no, my brain really craves junk food. And so this is basically where we come in, and we are looking at Yevo Foods and looking at two important properties in foods, which is satiety. If you do not eat a healthy, wholesome food at any given meal, and if a meal is not satisfying, then what happens is then you eat junk and snack around before your next meal, and therefore consume a lot of energy and calories within a given day and from day to day, and this leads to overweight, adiposity, and obesity. So this is what studies have shown. So it's important that any meal that's designed is satiating, is fulfilling, makes you satisfied and not leave you hungry. Right? That's a very important property. And this is because there are things in our body, hormones and blood glucose levels, that really drive this feeling of fullness. Anytime we ask for a meal, we always have low blood glucose levels at that point, and we're very hungry. This drives the desire and makes us eat. And so in order to be eating healthy, we have to have these parameters under good control. Glucose levels have to be even. We shouldn't have that driving unhealthy choices, and we should not be hungry. So these are important factors that go into designing our foods so that no food causes this big surge in glucose, which you see using that light green color or bluish green color. And we have foods that, like Evo, are designed to keep our blood glucose very normal and as shown in that red little curve there. So what are we doing with studying this at Tuft University? We're going to be selecting men and women who are aged 20 to 60 years, and we are going to be making sure that we exclude anything that confounds studying or interferes with studying these qualities and these properties, okay? So what we will do is we will take participants who are both males and females who are going to be in the normal weight or in the obese groups, and we're going to study these folks and how they feel satisfied on Yevo meals in comparison to other meals. And for this study, we will use a design that includes measurements of all of the body parameters that are important, or body variables that are important, which is percent fat, circumference, and also we will test their energy level and their ability to perform for the various tasks in the day. We'll also do detailed measurements of how satisfied they are with their food and how their hunger and all of their day-to-day performances are by using measurements for satiety, cognitive control, and body measurements. Okay, and the design that we will do is using 2 visits where on one day they will get a Yevo breakfast and then a Yevo lunch, and on the other visit they will have a commercially matched breakfast and lunch. And detailed measurements, like I mentioned, on appetite, on fullness, on blood measurements, as well as what they eat for the rest of the day will be measured, so that we understand that if they're full and satisfied on Yevo foods, that they will not compensate and overeat for the rest of the day. So that pretty much is the measurement that we are going to be doing in the study that we're conducting for the short-term effects. What happens when you eat Yevo meals for the day? And as mentioned earlier, since Yevo meals have all of the properties that are desirable, we expect that Yevo meals will make us feel more full or satiated, and we'll have lesser energy intake for the rest of the day on these meals compared to matched meals that will be provided in the test scenario. Okay, so that is the shorter term effect, and usually, short-term effects are very likely to translate to long-term effects. However, in the absence of testing it, you will just have short-term data, and generalizing it to how day after day of consumption of such foods will help with weight and health is something that needs to be studied. So our second study is going to look at those kind of effects over the longer term, not just within a day, but over a longer period. And we know from all of the literature and the scientific studies that having such convenient, well-prepared meals that are full of nutrients are really important in our ability to stick to weight and health management. And that's what the science has shown. And it's also important that we get all of our nutrients when we are on a diet or trying to manage weight, because if you go out and try, like they showed you earlier today, if you have to get all of those 43 nutrients, it would take us, looking for a lot of foods as well as eating quite a bit in order to fulfill our requirements. So the provided foods study for the longer term is going to be precisely looking at that. And another important important thing that has been shown in research studies is that if you actually provide food to people, they do better with managing their weight and managing their health than asking them to go and do it on their own. So those are very important features that are going to go into our longer term study, which is in the setting of a work site. So we're going to be taking Yago foods to workplaces, and we're going to be providing these foods to people, working people, to see how long-term weight management can be effective. And you may ask, why are you going to work sites? It's because workplaces are places where folks are busy, and as you know, Yago foods are designed to help busy people, and it also reaches a large number of people very quickly, and they can in turn be introducing these kind of principles and learning to their families, and as well as to other spouses and other support systems. So that is the worksite weight loss study that we're going to be doing, and we have experience doing that, and here's just a reason for why we are choosing worksites. We've done these kind of studies before, and the green and the blue lines are pretty much worksites where weight loss has been effected. So imagine that effect with Yago foods and how that might be enhanced or made better for weight control, right? So that's the point I wanted to show here. And it's not just at the level of the weight. We have shown, like I pointed out earlier, the brain is very smart. It will learn how to prefer healthy foods. So we did that in our worksite study and showed precisely that the brain is indeed able to relearn the eating process, prefer healthier foods compared to the less healthy and calorie-rich, nutrient-poor foods. So this demonstration has been done before, and we have the experience to do these kinds of trials, and that's what we will be doing. We'll be doing it in 12 work sites. 8 of the work sites will be receiving all of these Yago foods, and what we are going to be doing is we're going to be providing these commercial, diet programs to them, the very popular Weight Watchers, as well as iDiet, which is our homegrown version, and then within that people will be receiving Yago foods, and we will be examining how, as part of receiving Yago foods, people do benefit for weight and for health. Again, all of the key measurements are very critical for interpreting our findings, so we'll do a variety of measurements on the body and blood, as well as questionnaires that will get at eating behavior, eating pattern, craving, and hunger, and get into those details so that we are able to explain all of our studies and findings very clearly. And here is a quick look at how long this longer-term study is going to be. It's going to be done over an 18-month period, and during this 18-month period, every 3 months we'll get some very detailed measurements, as well as at very larger intervals at 6, 12, and 18, we'll get more detailed measurements on long-term effects. So with that, I want to conclude that the hypothesis, or what we're expecting from this longer-term study, is that those who are receiving Yago foods will be in a better shape in terms of weight, as well as long-term adherence, and being able to cope with weight control and manage their weight over the longer term. And their adherence, or improvements in their actual weight control will be very much better than receiving a supermarket voucher or not receiving Yago foods. So I want to now conclude with the last slide, which I know is important to me, but all of the scientific studies have also shown that as humans, when it comes to food, there are a few things that are very important to us, and that is we have to eat and feel satisfied when we eat. We have to have foods taste really good, and we have to make sure that we enjoy what we eat. And we work with Yago because we know that these are the principles which are very dear to Yago's heart, and it's in the Yago products. And we look forward to doing these research studies and bringing the news to you. So thank you very much, and good luck.